ladies and gentlemen, to the eSports Report, presented by the Xbox One, official console of MLG. Benson and Max going through every single team at the X Games. We're finally at silver medalists team FaZe. Overall, go 3-2 in series count and 13-11 in map count.
Yep.
Decent event for them. Gonna be honest, the series against OpTic Gaming, they got crapped on.
Anybody would have gotten crapped on right now. Like, OG is unstoppable, but very strong. I think a very strong event for FaZe regardless of that grand
Should have been
final.
closer though, is my point.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean,
Grand final,
right.
you got blown out. You got completely blown out. Anyway, we'll take a look at their stats from each game mode. Hardpoint 4-4, -7 points, 0.99 Team KD. S&D a 3-2 record, Team KD a 1.13. CTF they actually went negative in 2-3 and 0.98. Uplink a 4-2 with a 1.06. So walking away from this event, Uplink was the best game mode, and this is surprising to me. Weakest player was Enable for the whole event.
Really?
0.91 overall KD, 0.79 from CTF, 0.75 in S&D. I mean, I feel like his role is changing massively, which is a reason you're seeing that reflected in the stats. He's no longer killing things. He's kind of going from like kind of support kind of role.
Right. So
you expect to see the stats suffer, especially when you consider some of the teammates that he's playing with. You know, Slasher, who was main Bal. I feel like his role is changing as well. With Hook on that team now, Hook's going to be the guy you expect to see kill everything.
Exactly. And then you have Zuma being really this explosive SMG player.
Very hyper-aggressive. He's going to be up in your face. So the stats, again, I don't know whether you would class that as the weakest player from the event. I mean, he had some decent maps.
It just happened to be that he did the worst on his team.
Right, exactly. Standout player, Hook.
No surprise there, I think.
Surprise. A 1.12 overall KD, 30.26 Slayer rating, positive in every single game mode. Every one of them.
Yep. Just
didn't disappoint his team. Only player on the team positive in hardpoint.
Really?
1.15. I mean,
now,
they split hardpoint as well, 4-4.
And they only lost them by a score difference of -7 points. So that's like surprising.
You think about 7 points, how small that is. I mean, we actually have a video to throw up. This is FaZe versus Denial, and it's Detroit Uplink. Okay, and this is just a sheer obliteration of a team. And the way FaZe were playing it was so smart, the way they locked down that middle map side. It was very, very well done from them.
Right, and it really shows really flaws in Denial as well, not being able to stand up to the slaying power of FaZe, and really the explosiveness of, you know, Zuma as that hyper-aggressive SMG. But looking at their uplink stats from the weekend, like we said, they went 4-2 with a team KD of 1.06, but their score difference is only +1 in uplinks.
Right.
So, I mean, this is an obliteration. We'll see the final score at the end of the game, but it's surprising. I mean, like, their losses were like really close. I'm trying to remember their other uplink scores from the weekend.
What, from FaZe?
Right.
I mean, they played pretty well. It was 4-2.
Yeah.
They played OpTic Gaming twice. They lost twice. OpTic was the only team to beat them in Uplink.
Right. On comeback. Was it comeback first time and I can't remember the second one. But like when you think
they're a very good Uplink team.
Yeah, very good.
The reason behind
that,
especially this map, was the way they were kind of playing it. After the game, we kind of, I'm not sure if we touched on it when we were casting, but the way that they set up mid-map and just slayed everything, kind of that, just I think it was 3 battles. I think Enable was actually running a battle this game as well. Denial just couldn't keep up with it. They just could not handle the slaying power of FaZe. Zuma, you see Zuma there, Ballet, someone, he's picking them up. They just locked down that middle map, and they just did not give anything up.
Yeah,
which works great against every team apart from OpTic Gaming.
Exactly. This map plays perfectly into the way FaZe play it.
Right.
And especially when you have players like Enable who have run the main battle for teams before in the past, and then, you know, players like Hook are just so talented in general. They can, like you said, do that and like dominate every team apart from OG, because when you go up against like Crim and Formal and Karma, that's like your toughest competition. You're like, oh well.
And I feel it's kind of strange, right?
Right.
Are they just playing for second place?
That makes me think back to like Complexity and TK from Black Ops 2, because
right,
like,
no, it really does though.
Like everyone knew that the grand final was probably going to be Cole TK towards the end of Black Ops 2, and Cole was going to win. And then it leaked into Ghosts. You know, 2 grand finals in a row was Cole versus TK, and again, Cole beat them twice in a row.
So let me ask you this: in your mind, what does FaZe need to do to kind of
He's just running around the map, just having fun, essentially.
Improve and really put up a better fight, because going into this, I kind of thought, all right, well, Bill vs. Evan, we could potentially be about to have one of the greatest grand finals we've seen in COD.
Right.
And we didn't.
There's one player who I think, and like, I don't know if you agree with me on this or not, but there's always one player who's been the thorn in the side for OpTic Gaming throughout all of COD eSports, and that's Aches. Aches needs to be on a team, and like he said, surrounded by 3 dominant slayers, and just somehow it'll miraculously work. And they might be an OG, but like, I feel like Clay, Aches.
It's funny, people keep talking about that.
Like those two.
Clay and Aches, I don't know whether I can see. I don't know what that personal relationship is like.
I mean, the teaming together in the Black Ops 2 tourney.
Doesn't mean they have a good relationship, Max.
No, I know. I'm just saying. But I mean, if they were able to, work it out or whatever, like Aches and Parasite kind of worked it out, kind of. Not really, but
no, they didn't. That ended not as good as they would have liked.
Oh yeah,
put
but
it that way.
But I mean, yeah, everyone thought FaZe was going to win champs after beating OG, and they went on that huge run on Saturday night.
Yep.
But like, there are players on FaZe, there are players on Denial, and there are players on Elevate. Who I think if you put there's got to be some combination between those 3 teams.
Right.
Plus Pat, that can beat this team somehow.
Is Pat really the... you and Jack both said the same thing. You both put such a weight on Aches, where it's like, yeah, he could definitely beat them. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jack. What has he done on this game which makes you so sure of that, besides winning the first event of the game?
Champs was... he looked really good on Prophecy at Gfinity.
Which again, the counter argument to that is they had a relatively easier bracket than those teams.
Very true. Champs, but I mean, other than I'd say Champs, AW Open, and
Champs was
Gfinity.
Is he really still that kryptonite in your mind? Is he really the solution?
I think he is. It's just a matter of the fact that if he wants to be or not. If he actually wants to.
Right, but again, that's still in the question.
Right.
Does he really want to be right now?
That would have been a nice way to end.
I don't know.
Because in a way, I want to agree with you, right? You want to see kind of like Clay, Aches on a team, trying to beat OpTic Gaming. Like the storyline would be pretty immense.
It would be so hype.
Because if there's one player that wants to do it, it's going to be Aches, right?
Right.
Like he's hating the fact that Krim is now got more championships.
21-time champion. I know, a gold medal.
Gold medal too. Aches hasn't got.
Right, exactly.
Clayster, he's a world champion. MVP.
So Krim and Clay now have every accolade in competitive Call of Duty.
Yep. Only 2 players to do so.
Yep. So
pretty damn impressive.
I mean, it really comes down to whether or not Pat wants to beat at Kryptonite again. And then, like, I guess you could really take your pickings from players like
my point to that is just I think you could just pick someone who you know is going to be more consistent and just run with it.
So, like I said,
and plus, there's a lot of young players right now who I don't think getting enough credit.
I mean, if you look at this FaZe squad, is there a play that stands out to you and it's like, okay, you're not consistent enough to play against OG? That can be up, like, I mean, like, really, like, when you look at a clear upgrade.
They just need every single play to go off at all times.
Right.
That's the thing. They're inconsistent in that manner.
That's also like the TK mana from like Black Ops 2.
Exactly. And it's like, Mr. X himself said TK should have made that team change when they're in a position of power, finishing 2nd place.
Right.
Guess what? Very, very reminiscent. Very, very reminiscent right now. I mean, is there an upgrade? Who do you drop? Who do you pick up?
I mean, I feel like this move isn't warranted at all, but an upgrade would be Clay for Slasher, I feel like. I feel like Clay is a little more consistent when it comes to just dropping kills like that. But I mean, like that, a move like that isn't warranted. Slasher plays well enough to be on this team, but
all right, but go back to TK though.
Right.
They were all playing well. They all deserved to be on TK. They just kept finishing 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like.
So tough. Such a tough situation.
Right. No, it's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
But it comes down to, are you happy just playing for 2nd place? And maybe 1 event out of 10, you have a chance of stealing? Because let's be honest, this grand final, it wasn't close.
Right.
At no point could you say, yeah, FaZe could have won.
Right. How many times have you seen teams rally 2-point plays? I mean,
and like to me, that's concerning.
Yeah.
Because there was like no competition.
Map control and rally those points. The problem is,
like, how are you supposed to compete against like Scump, Krim and Formal and Karma?
JCap picked that up.
It's so tough. But
it's like, what was that question? X Games, I think we asked like, oh, how do you shut down scum? And the answer was you don't.
You don't.
You just don't. Like, at best, you hope he has a slow start,
Right.
which has occasionally happened. But then you look at the scoreboard in the game and he's got like 40 plus. And you're like, oh, well, okay. Don't get me wrong, there's probably a way, but people haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
Same way with like Cole. There was a way, but people just didn't figure it out.
We asked this question, this is like a long time ago, this is back in March before Champs. Was the roster that could beat OG? Like, did it exist yet? And we all agreed, no, it didn't exist yet. But there would be a potential roster to do so. And then they replaced Nade with Karma. And now you're like, is there even a roster that can beat them? That's like the real, like you can put together Clay, you know, Zuma, Enable, Temp, or whatever, you know, or whoever it's going to be. They have to 100% consistent 100% of the time.
Yeah, so tough job to have.
But like we see right here, FaZe is blowing out Denial 8-0. Replays is 12 and 21. JCap is 16 and 24.
Right, and again, that comes down to the slaying power that FaZe has.
Exactly. So, like, they have the power to shut them down. It's just that.
But playing against Denial and playing against OpTic Gaming are very different.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, great. I mean, what is Clay right now? 27, 23?
27. Yeah.
Like, he's even. So you've done a good job. Like, you've done a very good job. Right. Zoom's being very aggressive right now. He's 27 and 17. Hook's in there at 25 and 17. Like, they're keeping map control as much as possible.
Right.
And this game ultimately ends 10-0. FaZe do not allow Denial a single point. Now, you can kind of take that two ways, right? FaZe playing very, very well, and Denial not playing that good at all. I mean, Denial and Uplink go 1 and 3 for the event. So it just wasn't good for them. I mean, replays, we touched on this earlier on, but Uplink is 0.65 KD from him across the board.
Right.
And this is the guy you used to see him making smart plays. Yeah, he'll bait. Don't get me wrong. Like, his role of like baiting for teammates is huge.
Right.
Like, completely understand that. But if he isn't getting that objective role done either, that's when it kind of, you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, well, that was a bit of an issue.
Right.
It's tough.
It's extremely tough. So it's like even like, so Enable is their weakest player, right?
Which is what say.
You wouldn't like, no, I wouldn't even look at Enable and be like, no, he's not the weakest player in FaZe at all.
Right.
I don't think FaZe have a weak player. It just comes down to consistency 100% of the time.
Yeah. That's funny. Consistency 100% of the time.
Yeah. This is a little redundant, but.
Do you mean to do that?
Yeah. No. But. Like, you have the person, you have Zuma, that extremely aggressive SMG. Enable is extremely talented in AW. There's no doubt about that. Two-time champion in AW with OG.
With OpTic Gaming,
right.
Ironically.
And then Hook, one of the youngest players in Call of Duty, who's extremely made a name for himself.
Dude, he's so good.
In AW. And then Slasher, real AW Open was like, it was like, okay, you know, after losing a Season 3 champs, playoffs and Ghosts, came to AW Open, beat the best team in the game, or supposed the best team at the time, and then really had up and downs. You know, UMG or LAN. That's really just, it was a FaZe red wave. It was really up and down. Right.
It's literally all it comes down to. You can take a look at the stats, and that's what they'll tell you.
Right.
But that was a look at FaZe. Congratulations again. Great placing. Silver medalists. Which means there's just one team left. Of course, OpTic Gaming walked away with gold at the X Games this past weekend. We're going to do a quick commercial break. When we return, we're going to a big old in-depth look at exactly how they played. Be right back.